Well, hello and welcome to another Planet Cruise exclusive interview. We're here at our studios in Portsmouth. Very exciting because I'm going to get a chance to chat to Louise Craddock, who's one of two of the sales managers for Oceania in the UK. Louise, thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Should we do the shaking of the hand?
Yes, very formal.
Very formal. We've just been having a great natter.
I know.
And one of the things that I didn't realise is that you've actually, you worked on ships, didn't you, before you went kind of shoreside?
Yes.
Tell us about your life so far.
Well, I had the great opportunity at 24 years old to go and work out on the ships. I worked for a major cruise line and I was the shore excursion manager on board.
Right.
And I travelled extensively to the Caribbean, Panama Canal, Alaska, and I did the Far East and some European destinations as well. It was the best 4 years of my entire life. And I think when you've worked on ships and it's in your blood, you have to kind of continue a career. And then I was fortunate enough to leave the ships and go and work in New York, where I was Vice President of Operations for an internet company, similar to Planet Cruise, that sold cruises online. Wow. So I worked for the cruise line, then I was basically a travel agent in New York for 8 years. And then I met a nice boy and moved back to the UK.
An American boy? Or
no, an English boy.
An English boy?
An English boy in New York.
An Englishman in New York, yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
It wasn't Sting, was it? It wasn't Sting.
No,
Okay.
no. Unfortunately, doesn't have that kind of money. But yeah, and he brought me back and I started working for another major cruise line as a sales manager. And then finally to Oceania, been here a couple of years now.
And loving it, so you tell me.
I just absolutely love it. This is a cruise line that I can grow old with. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else at the moment.
Well, I mean, it's a fantastic brand, and and really, really exciting because, I mean, for me, anyone that watches the shows know that I rave about food the whole time. So I'm always talking about food and what food to try here and what food to try there. And I've got to say, I visited an Oceania ship recently, and I had on board probably the best meal I've had, full stop. I mean, the fish, I had fish. I think it was...
You had the miso glazed sea bass.
Yes.
Yes.
You remember.
One of our signatures.
Word. It melted in my mouth. Fish has never melted in my mouth like that. It was just an explosion of flavour. It was so gorgeous. I mean, it was amazing.
It is wonderful.
Yeah.
It is wonderful. Well, I think when Oceania first started, everybody got together and they thought, what can we come to the party with? What can we do differently to all the other cruise lines? And we decided to be the foodies cruise line. Nice. And Oceania, they spend more money on food than any other cruise line in the world. And that is why the experience is just so phenomenal.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, am I right in thinking you get your beef is set to certain standards, and you've got your own farms in different places where you pull the produce from? Am I right in thinking that?
Yes, indeed. And people don't believe it, but we are the only cruise line that have 28-day dry aged beef on board.
Wow.
And this is sourced from our own farm in Colorado, along with the lamb. And then the seafood, especially the lobsters and the crab legs, they all come from a little farm in Maine that only supply to Oceania cruises.
That's amazing.
And it's absolutely delicious. There's more seafood on board than any other cruise line.
Well, that would explain it, because I know Maine very well from kind of cruising up along those waters, and the seafood is second to none in that particular area. You mentioned lobster; it's like a shoebox, a shoe factory for lobsters, isn't it? It's incredible. But to have your own farm supplying the cruise line really is.
It is really, really unique.
Yeah.
And the food and the quality and the raw ingredients, that is just an area that we will never ever compromise. We always set the bar really high. The menus are always changing, and the food is really the experience of this cruise line. When you come on board, you're going to go on a culinary journey, and you're going to be able to sample lots of different restaurants at no additional cost as well, which is great.
Yeah, because you've got award-winning restaurants like Red Ginger, which are voted continuously like the best kind of best restaurant at sea, aren't they, and things like this. And it looks stunning. I've not had a chance to eat in there yet. I look forward to it at some point because I hear so many great things. Tell us about Red Ginger.
Well, Red Ginger, it's my boss's favourite. It's the other sales manager's favourite. It's just won Best Restaurant at Sea, so we're so delighted. And this is a fusion of Japanese, Chinese, Indonesian and Cantonese and Vietnamese. And it's a whole experience. And when you sit down, the waitress will come over with a beautiful mother of pearl box, and you have a choice of different types of chopsticks. And then the menu is just incredible. Everything from sushi to lobster pad thai to the miso glazed sea bass. But it's served along with all these different types of teas and sakis. And it is an experience like no other.
I'm having trouble concentrating as you speak, to be honest with you. I know that Sean, of course, who Sean and I, you know Sean
Yes,
very well, and
yeah.
present the show on on Ideal World, and he went on recently, and the one thing I said before he went, as I said, Sean, don't eat for a couple of weeks beforehand, because you just want to really make the most of when you're on board.
Yeah.
And just really soak it up. And he came back and he said it was just
the
amazing.
Best
food, full stop. He loved it.
But
Really
I think what's so interesting, I mean, I travelled this year, and I was very incognito on the ship. Nobody knew who I was, which was lovely, and I really was able to sample all the cuisine for myself. But I ate very well, but I didn't actually gain any weight. And believe it or not, I am a real foodie. I like my food.
But Sean was the same. Sean was the same, Louise. He came back, and he he said, he hadn't put on a pound, and that's the first time he'd done that. He'd come back and not put on any weight.
I just think it's the quality. I mean, I enjoyed the steak, and it's just the right size portion. And you're cutting into the steak, and there's no fat coming out of it. It's absolutely the top quality.
Well sourced, organic, sustainable food, which is which in a sense
really top quality. My husband, he probably had about £500 worth of sushi on board, and I have to say, I was a little bit embarrassed because I think the staff were calling him Mr. Sushi under their breath. But he used to live in Japan, and he said he'd never tasted sushi like it since he lived there, and it was all the the belly tuna. That was served every day. So, and apart from red ginger, my favourite is actually Jacques, which is the French restaurant.
Okay.
So Jacques Pepin has been involved with Oceania cruises since the beginning, and this chap was the head chef to 3 heads of state in France, including Charles de Gaulle. And he's had his name above our brand since the beginning. And so just as a tribute to him, we gave him his own restaurant on the newer ships. And this is a French bistro. And to me, if I'd have had the meal I had in there in London, it would probably have cost me about £150 per person. The fresh pumpkin soup was served out of a pumpkin. The Dover sole was filleted in a silver tray at the side of me. And we also were served a cheese course, 12 different types of French cheeses, served with a glass of port. Absolutely stunning. And then we've also got the steakhouse and the Toscana, the Italian, gourmet Italian food as well.
As you mentioned, all of these they're not for fee eateries. They're not, whereas a lot of cruise lines you have to pay a supplement to go to them. This is all included with the fare.
All included. So it's so lovely. So you've got all these different restaurants to choose from. Lots of tables for 2, or you can go on a large table if you like. The grand dining room is fantastic. If you don't even dine anywhere else, you'll have a great experience. Everything is cooked a la minute. It's fine service, beautiful tableware. It's a great experience. But out of the 12 days that I spent on board, I dined 5 of them in our terrace cafe. Because for me, that was luxury. To be wearing the clothes I wanted to wear, to sit outside, have that Amalfi coastline going by, beautiful grilled swordfish, and a nice lobster tail with a nice bottle of wine. It's paradise.
Yeah,
absolute paradise.
Not just that, but you have it's Illy coffee, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, I'm a huge caffeine addict, so I need my coffee before I can start the day. And it's a brilliant brand.
It is so great, and we are all coffee lovers at Oceania.
Right, okay.
In fact, when we do the ship visits, when we get on board, that's the first thing we do is we sneak upstairs to the barista bar, and we have a nice cappuccino. But we also serve an Illy creamer, and this is a little cup of ice cold coffee cream. It is delicious, and I'm sure Sean will tell you all about that. But what's great again is that that's all included. The soft drinks, the bottled waters, the specialty coffees, that's all in the price at the beginning, so you're not paying out extra for that.